She's underwater again, somebody's daughter, a friend. In the night, in the dark, in the cold, as she walks far away, nobody's watching, drowning in words so sweet, mild as the water, cold as a bird once free. I don't mind. Hope is a distance unreached, ink on her skin incomplete, and the faint sound of friends as she neared to the end. She had peace. Nobody's watching, drowning in words so sweet, mild as the water, cold as a bird once free. I don't mind. I don't mind. Where does your star go from here? Lost in the grip, nobody's watching, drowning in words so sweet, mild is the water, cold as a bird once free. Nobody's watching, drowning in words so sweet, mild as the water, cold as a bird once free. I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't
When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand now. Stand by me. Stand by me. If the sky that we look upon should tumble and fall, and the mountains should crumble to the sea, I won't cry, I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear. Just as long as you stand stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand now. Stand by me. Stand by me. Stand now, stand by me, stand by me. Whenever you're in trouble, won't you stand by me? Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand now, stand by me, stand by me.
Do you ever feel like a plastic bag drifting through the wind, waiting to start again? Do you ever feel so paper thin, like a house of cards, one blow from caving in? Do you ever feel already buried deep, 6 feet under screams, but no one seems to hear a thing? Do you know that there's still a chance for you, 'cause there's a spark in you? You just gotta ignite the light and let it shine just on the night, like the 4th of July. 'Cause baby, you're a firework. Come and show me why you're worth. Make 'em go as you shoot across the sky. You don't have to feel like a waste of space. You're original, cannot be replaced. If you only knew what the future holds, after a hurricane comes a rainbow. Maybe a reason why all the doors are closed, so you could open one that leads you to the perfect road. Like a lightning bolt, your heart will glow, and when it's time, you'll know. You just gotta ignite the light and let it shine just on the night, like the 4th of July. 'Cause baby, you're a firework. Come and show me why you're worth. Make 'em go as you shoot across the sky. Boom, 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 even brighter than the moon, moon, moon. It's always been inside of you. Now it's time to let it through. 'Cause baby, you're a firework. Come and show 'em what you're worth. Make 'em go as you shoot across the sky.
You're heading out as I'm coming home, but I haven't seen you in forever. we steal a kiss and you close the door. I guess we're alone in this together, 'cause life keeps getting between us, and it's all too heavy to keep up anymore. We stuck by it, we kept trying, but there's no fighting bad timing. I wish we met each other 5 years later, 'cause I hate the way we're being torn apart. We stuck by it, we kept trying, but there's no fighting bad timing. Yeah. Bad timing. Well, I miss the nights we'd lie awake, both throwing shadows at the ceiling. We need a day, just me and you, to try to recreate the feeling. But life keeps getting between us, and it's all too heavy to keep up anymore. We stuck by it, we kept trying, but there's no fighting bad timing. I wish we met each other 5 years later, 'cause I hate the way we're being torn apart. We stuck by it, we kept trying, but there's no fighting bad timing. Oh, 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 I wish we met each other 5 years later, 'cause I hate the way we're being torn apart. We stuck by it, kept trying, but there's no fighting bad timing. It's just bad timing. Bad timing. Bad timing. It's just bad timing.
Highly likely for disaster when time comes down. Forecast for a fiery blast off, exploring all alone. Take me dancing downtown for an hour of your spare time. Hold me close.
Darling, I've been trying to hold you down, though the fear within my heart still lingers round. Darling, I am hoping to see your face every Sunday morning in my embrace. And though the fear within my heart still drives me over the edge, it is you that I want to hold me in bed. And should the sun shine tomorrow, I'll be holding my head, 'cause I'll be hoping for raindrops instead. Fresh roses in my garden need the rain. I've been hoping for clouds, but the sun remains. Fresh roses in my garden need the rain. Heaven sent me your love, but it keeps me chained. Darling, I was searching for the light within. When you came on in, placed my world in a spin. I was aching when you came around. Funny how things work, how my world was upside down. And though the fear in my heart still drives me over the edge, it is you that I want to hold me in bed. And should the sun shine tomorrow, I'll be holding my head, 'cause I'll be hoping for raindrops instead. Fresh roses in my garden need the rain. I've been hoping for clouds, but the stars remain. Fresh roses in my garden need the rain. Heaven sent me your love, but it keeps me chained. I'll bide my time, I will wait patiently for the day when the clouds are dark, the skies are red, to feel your love over me. Fresh roses in my garden need the rain. I've been hoping for clouds, but the sun remains. Fresh roses in my garden need the rain. Heaven sent me your love, but it keeps me chained.
I got these fresh eyes, never seen you before like this. My God, you're beautiful. It's like the first time when we opened the door for we got used to usual. It might seem superficial, stereotypical man. You dress up just a little and I'm like, go down. So suddenly I'm in love with a stranger. I can't believe she's mine. Now all I see is you with fresh eyes, fresh eyes. So suddenly I'm in love with a stranger. I can't believe she's mine. Now all I see is you with fresh eyes, fresh eyes. Appreciation, well, it comes and goes, but I'll ride that wave with you. It's human nature to miss what's under your nose till you till you remind a fool. Maybe all of this is simple. My heart's unconditional, yeah. You dress up just a little and I'm like, oh, damn. So suddenly I'm in love with a stranger. I can't believe she's mine. Now all I see is you with fresh eyes, fresh eyes. So suddenly I'm in love with a stranger. I can't believe she's mine. Now all I see is you with fresh eyes, fresh eyes. If I could bottle this up, bottle this up, I would. If I could bottle this up, bottle this up, I would. 'Cause you're gorgeous in this moment. If I could bottle this up, if I could bottle this up. So suddenly I'm in love with a stranger. I can't believe she's mine. Now all I see is you with fresh eyes, fresh eyes. So suddenly, fresh eyes.
Hi everyone, we'll be starting in about 10 minutes. We have a lot of drinks at the back, so do grab one, grab a seat and make yourself comfortable. Thank you.
But the we could be, it's a sight for you and me, and your eyes so bright.
Hi everyone, we'll be starting in a few minutes. We have drinks at the back, so do grab a drink and make yourself comfortable. It will be great if you could move in and fill up any gaps so that more people can take a seat. Thank you. Hi everyone, we'll be starting soon. It would be great if you could move forward and fill up the seats. There are drinks at the back, so do make yourself comfortable and enjoy. So I'll just open first. Yep. Take yourself comfortable. Welcome everyone, and thank you for coming down to today's event. I'm Zing from SGInnovate, and today we are very happy to collaborate with our longtime partner, General Assembly, to bring you women's data leaders. At SGInnovate, we believe Singapore has the abilities and resources to tackle hard problems from around the world. And part of our knowledge sharing sessions includes the one you are here for today. So without further ado, I'll hand over the mic to Gabriella from General Assembly, who will start you off. Gabriella, please.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. I am Gabriela and I work for an amazing company called General Assembly. May I know how many of you know GA? Hands up. Thank you so much. How many of you have attended event by General Assembly before? And what about some workshop or class? Do we have any alumni here by any chance? Oh, yes, in the back. Okay. Is it from data analytics or science? Data science. Okay, I would love to hear about your experience. Tonight we have amazing panel about women data leaders. And if you are aspiring women data leaders or existing junior data leaders and you are looking to learn something new, please talk to me after because we have many great classes and workshops for you, or you can check ga.co. And now, please let me introduce Jana. Jana is our moderator for today and founder of Meiro, and she will lead the evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gabi. It's fantastic to sit here. We have this light here. We feel very important. Hi, everyone. My name is Jana, and I've been working in data for more than 2 decades. I am a computer science major, and I am not only co-founder of Meiro, which does customer data platform. What else? And I'm as well running a nonprofit organization that is called She Loves Data. I see some familiar faces here. Who knows about She Loves Data? Let's see. Hello, girls. This is great. So we have a good support group here. And I will be moderating today's panel, which feels fantastic because today we have amazing ladies here with me that are all working with data as a data analyst, data scientist, intelligent leads, and heads of data science. So, ladies, welcome. It's actually great to have you here. Let's start with introducing yourself. And what I want to know, because we all see what your names are and what you do. Can you guys see it? We don't need to repeat it, right? So what I would be interested if you share with the audience about your role, what you do, and what your responsibilities are.
Right. Hi, everyone. I'm Wan Ting, and I'm with the Allianz Data Science team. So my responsibilities are looking after markets like Malaysia, Taiwan, and China. And the mandate of the team is really to help Allianz, which is 126 years old in this company, to innovate with data and use data science to drive more competitive value. On the side, I also lead the Singapore chapter for Girls in Tech. It's a non-profit organization where we organize events like that also to try and empower more girls who are interested in technology, in science, in math, and data to step up and have a voice in this industry.
Hi, my name is Sunita, and I lead the advisory practice for ASEAN under the Accenture Applied Intelligence. So this is a consulting firm, obviously, and we sit, the Accenture Applied Intelligence sits within the Accenture Digital umbrella. So my particular role here is to make sure that advisory, or what is also known as business analytics, is achieved to all the different clients of ours across the whole of ASEAN. So I lead that, and the team is building up, by the way. And this is a great space because clients don't often realize that there is often a disconnect between the business and data science, and that's where my role comes in. It's end-to-end all the way from developing a strategy for them with respect to their data and digital transformation, all the way to implementation and deriving insights and relaying back to the clients. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Arpita. I am part of the MSD. So I'm the product owner for MSD, for AI, and for artificial intelligence team. So my role is to make sure to deliver the project end to end. So from the starting of the project, doing the stakeholdering, talking to the stakeholders to make sure this is the project in production. Because a lot of time what we hear from others, like, oh, I built this project, or I built the chatbot, or I built this machine learning algorithm. But the next question I ask, did you put it in the production in a big company? If not, then it's lots of challenge. If you're working on a big company, there's a lots of regulation, lots of things lots of hurdles you need to cover. So my role is to make sure this is smooth transition to the production, and then after production, how to support the ongoing process.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I am Nidhi, and I work for Standard Chartered Bank as a business data analyst. Almost 14 years in technical industry and last 9 years in data. About my role and responsibilities, so I work for the middle office and we do performance management. So any change that is coming into the bank, we do the complete impact assessment. In terms of data, we see the data and we try to measure how the change is going to be. Is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? How costly the change is? What do we need for that change? So all in terms of data measures. So as we go along the way, we can see that how data can help in doing various things in any stream, not in a bank, but anywhere and everywhere.
Okay, great. I have a question to you. How many of you is in data? And I don't mean only technical positions, but data-related positions. Can we see the hands? All right. Oh, this is great. So the rest of you, do you think about a career change? Okay. Maybe it's a sensitive question to ask, but maybe not career change in terms of like a changing from one industry to another one, or from one organization to another one, but maybe changing your role within your organization, right? Because data is everywhere today. And my question to you guys is, or girls, is how did you actually get into those positions? Because I think it's interesting to see, you know, it's women, we usually take a very traditional career steps, and you have positions that many people maybe are wondering, how do I get there? So what was your journey? And if you can walk us through, you know, that maybe transition you had to make.
Yeah, so I was very fortunate. So I studied computational biology in school, which exposed me to my first courses of programming, and I loved it a lot. And I think in this world of data right now, it's this explosion of data everywhere, and with the programming skills, it actually carried me through different industries. So I was in research doing personalized genomics, and then I went on to do advertising, so mobile advertising, and then now I'm in insurance. So it's the same kind of skill sets, looking at data across, but across different industries.
Okay. I took a not so conventional path. So I was doing my undergrad in a double major in physics and math. Then for some crazy reason, I decided to do a PhD in physics. So that was all in quantum physics. You must be wondering, what the hell is she doing here? So believe it or not, quantum physics, especially when you're doing research in theoretical physics, has a lot of data analysis that needs to get done. It's totally different kinds of data, of course. There's scientific data, there's atomic data, there's astronomical data, all this wonderful stuff. And so I started doing, without knowing, I was doing a lot of machine learning and all that sort of cool things. Especially when you're working in physics and you're in that bubble, people don't call it machine learning, so I was like, I'm doing some stuff. For some personal reasons, when I came back to Singapore, I decided to jump into consulting. Obviously, as you can see by now, I have no proper direction where I was going. So when I started off, believe it or not, I was working in systems implementation with SAP. So when I first stepped in, I didn't even know how to write minutes. Let me be very honest here. So I got a lot of, oh my God, you don't know how to write minutes? I'm like, what are minutes? So that's where I started my journey in consulting. Along the way, I fell back into analytics, and I loved it. It was different kinds of data, definitely. So I'm cross-industry right now, and I've always tried to be that way, which basically means I deal with any and every client, everything from healthcare, government, public sector, things like financial services, anything and everything. And I basically look at their data. So now the challenging part for me is being able to adjust to every single industry and making sure what I say fits purpose for their business. And that's where I get really excited. And that's why I want to play in the space moving forward. And let me tell you, it's not been easy, but I've enjoyed every single minute of it. And I've learned how to write minutes.
We were talking about that you actually spent lots of time in consulting, and you changed a few consulting firms.
Correct, I did.
How is it? I mean, don't you guys wonder to spend time in consulting? Do you have some urge to maybe jump and do the data analytics at, you know, your client side?
It's a fun question to answer. So what Jana's trying to say is I started off with Accenture, went on to PwC, was with Deloitte, and now I decided to come back to Accenture. Trust me, one thing I do know is I want to stay in analytics, so that's sorted. What I found as a common factor between all of them is that it's all to do with analytics. So the ground, the foundation is still very much there. You can call it artificial intelligence, you can call it applied intelligence, you can call it machine learning, NLP, intelligent robotics, whatever you want to call it. But the foundation of all of it is data. And it's kind of amazing that with the whole FinTech festival that's been happening this week, everyone is focusing on such wonderful buzzwords like AI, AI, AI. People are trying to grasp the point that at the foundation, at the core of all of that, is data. You need to get your data sorted. You need to find out how your data is in the organization. We can get more into that later. Have I wanted to be a part of my client? Maybe eventually, but for now, I like the experience that consulting is giving me, especially not being from a industry-related data background. This has given me a lot of exposure.
So, Arpita, you as well have not really strict computer science background, right?
Yeah, I am not from this computer science background. So I did my master's in statistics, and I love numbers. So that's why I just jumped into the banking related job, and I didn't know what we have to do. And it's the same thing. Like, no, I didn't write the minutes, but I don't know what is that. That time the SAS was very popular, and all the companies you have to go for like at least 1 month of SAS training, mandatory SAS training, if you have to get the job. So I just started writing. If anyone knows SAS here, okay. Okay, I shouldn't give that example though. Anyway, so I just started writing the SAS codes and everything. Then I am passionate about data and how to make a business can use the data. That is most important for me. It's not about how the data is, but how to tell a story out of the data. That is more important for me. Another thing I always like find out the source of the data, because source of the data will tell you the most of the story. Is not the output of the data. That is one of the passion I have. I didn't switch so far from one consulting company to another, but I started career with banking. Then I moved to the consulting firm, which covers banking, pharma, retail, lots of analytics. But everything is related to analytics. So just playing with the data, find out the strategy, how to help the customer to find out the data. And I just landed to pharmaceutical company, and here is also the job. Nature of the job is same, but we are using in the different notion of analytics.
Thank you. Nidhi, you have been in banking for a while, right? And you are computer science major. You guys shared a microphone, you two, that way. And I know you took a sabbatical and you came back to the same company. Tell us a little bit about that. Why sabbatical and why back to the same position, right? Slightly different?
Yeah, little similar and little different. So I followed the very conventional path. I did my engineering and computer science, and I landed a job at the consultancy firm, and I started my career as a developer, a data developer, where everybody used to tell me, okay, we need this input, we need this output. And I always wanted to okay, I want to be at that side, where I want to tell this is the input and this is the output. And believe me, guys, you don't have to be a tech geek for that. It's just the love for the data and the passion. I read a very nice article about problem solving, and which tells about you need 4 sets to solve a problem. You need a skill set, you need a data set, you need a tool set, and the biggest thing is you need a mindset. And I think the 60% of it is all about the mindset. And that is what is working about in the data. So now I work as a techno-functional analyst, where I talk to business, try to understand their requirements, and it's all about the mindset. With an open mind, you go try to understand their concerns, their pain points, their problems, get their requirements, and then passing it out to the technical team to get the right product delivered. And that is what my job is all about. So yeah, the journey started from a developer, slowly to a business analyst, and now a techno-functional analyst, where you have arms everywhere. You know about technology, you know about business, you know about pain points, you know about what you have, and you know what is required, and you have to bridge the gap, how to get there. And yeah, talking about my sabbatical. So after 14 years of job, it was like, the daily routine was really killing. And I wanted to take a little break. So I took a 6 months break from my career. I started with TCS, worked for Fidelity, Credit Suisse, MasterCard. Then I joined Stanchart. I took a break. And now I'm back at Stanchart. So yeah, so it's never ending, if you think that, oh, I've been not in job for like, quite some time, will it be easy to get a job back or something like that? It's nothing like that. If you have the right mindset, you will definitely be there. Yeah.
Great. Let's look at the data itself in your organizations, because everyone is talking about data, and everyone is talking about data is new oil, right? So what I would like to know, how your organizations are using data, and is it really bringing that business value that we are all talking about? How is it? Share some examples and tell us the reality of this sentence. That would be interesting.
So, being a 126-year-old company in a very, very traditional industry, insurance, it's it's very challenging, right? To use data, to be honest, right? So in Singapore, we are the regional office. What we do is that we work with countries in Malaysia, Taiwan, China, all these countries in the region, and help them make use of data to drive innovation. And the business process in trying to understand what the underwriters are doing to really coming up with a model that we can explain to them, to deployment, right? So the end-to-end deployment on using the model in an insurance value chain, it's a really, really long one. But I would say we are making good progress on it. For example, like we actually built a predictive model for policy submission. So when you submit a policy, you will be asked a lot of questions like insurance policy, right? So you would usually say no to everything. Otherwise, your agent would say, I need to send you for some medical review, and it will take like really long for you to get your policy approved, right? And so we have a lot of cases like that, and that increases the risk that an insurance company like Allianz undertakes. So how do you actually tell that this person is not disclosing fully what they have in their medical history to us in that short application form, right? So we build a model to understand the past behavior of people who have actually non-disclosed, right? Whether they have onset of chronic illnesses within the first 1 or 2 years of their policy submission. And then using that as a training sample, we train the model to understand what kind of behaviors should we pick up for people who may have this kind of tendencies. So we acknowledge that it's not going to be 100% perfect, right? So initially we built like a neural network model, and we brought it to the underwriters. So the underwriters have like 10s, 20s of experiences in underwriting policies. They do not accept that, anything else except from their gut feelings is going to be more accurate than So we had a very hard time explaining to them. We said, neural network is the best technology ever, And they'll be like, okay, how does it work? Oh yeah, I cannot explain to you because it worked like a brain, right? You cannot explain how a brain works too. And they'll be like, oh, I can't use this. It doesn't make sense to me. So we went back to the drawing board, and we built a decision tree model instead. So that's what we chose to do, as weighing the business outcomes to the practicality of it, right? So we sacrificed like 2 percentage points on accuracy, and to us, it's perfectly reasonable to try and get this business to innovate and push them towards the right direction. So now this model is being deployed, and we are seeing some good results, and we are trying to push it further.
I think you are mentioning innovation in a 100+ years old company.
Yeah.
That is really sound challenging, right? How do you keep up this innovation, and how do you set the mindset of people that are working with data? Yeah, makes sense. So how is it on your side?
So I can tell you about stories that where we've made it work for clients, and
Yeah.
what's been the challenge in many of the other clients.
Well, maybe a question is as well if you at Accenture are using data to run your business and your company.
Sure. Yeah, so the short answer is yes, we do. Let me come back to that in a bit. Let me tell you about places where data or what the business is trying to achieve with data has not worked, where it's failed. And it's very important to understand that people, as I said earlier, the buzzwords, they just want to jump on the wagon and go and build everything in artificial intelligence into their business by tomorrow. And this is where we need to do a reality check for them, bring them back a few notches, help them understand that there is a lot to understand with their current data. For instance, if the data is not cleansed, it's not standardized, it's not up to the mark, you can do any amount of analytics on top of it, but you're not going to get the right outcomes. Everything is going to be flawed. There's very interesting talks as well at the FinTech Festival on ethical AI. So how do you make sure there's a lot of stuff going on right now in this field, and what is the basis behind all of that? It's to have the right kind of data. It's to have the right feed of data to train your model. It's to make sure that your data currently that's being analyzed is of the right form and it's the right kind of data. You need the right attributes. So you just don't go all out and say, okay, and I'm going to put everything into an MDM and just analyze the whole thing as it is. That's never going to work. The other thing that clients have not done well, or it's been a challenge for us to get them to understand, is what is the intent behind you going down this path? You need to give us an understanding of why you're doing this. Why do you want to get into this? I mean, it's fine to say, you know, I don't want to be left behind as an organization. That's great. But what are you trying to achieve out of this? And once you get that, you know, put down correctly, you know, completely firm, then you can go ahead and do everything on top of that. The other thing is, let's face it, data is used for analytics, right? And you're not going to have a holistic analytics performed on your data if you just have internal data. So how do you make use of external data? Partnerships. So how do you actually get that into your organization to get a more correct analytics and insights that are derived on that data? What's worked really well with organizations is the ability to accept. So once, you know, I'm sure like every one of you knows, in organizations right now, one of the biggest positions that's getting filled is the CDO position, the Chief Data Officer. So once they say, for instance, as you said, once they say that, you know, we have data scientists in our team, we have the Chief Data Officer, we have the Chief Digital, we're all set. We don't need anything more. But you don't understand that you need to accept what is going wrong currently. And once you accept it, you can correct it. If you don't accept it, you're just going to keep doing the wrong things over and over again. In terms of what Accenture does, to be honest, I'm quite new to the firm, but there is some very exciting work, some very intelligent data scientists, and I don't often say this out loud, but it's true. We have an analytics COE that basically helps with a lot of different organizations, whether it's the public sector, whether it's the you know, bringing out special offerings for the financial services. So these are tried and tested models, and these have obviously by now they're in a position that works. So yes, we do a lot of internal data as well. I mean, it's easy to say, you know, let's go and do it for the clients, obviously, but exactly. Accenture is a big company itself as well. So we're getting there. We're also we're exercising the same kind of principles internally as we are externally to make sure that all our workings are of an intelligent format.
Right. Ladies, I will spin a question a little bit for you too, because you both work in regulated industries, right? And so the use of data is sometimes limited as well. So how do you go about that? And as well, you are data analyst, data scientist, and as one of you mentioned here, you will get the result based on the data quality you are working with. So can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think to start with, the biggest challenge is having the right data for analysis, and that is the frustrating point when you start your career in data. It takes a lot of time to understand what is my right data set on which I should work for. Second is what is the right data source. Once we have sorted out these two problems, then we start working on the data. Definitely when you work for the bank, there are a lot of regulatory requirements which you have to follow. Lot of data is, encrypted, which you don't have access to, and you have to work on it. I think slowly when you start working on it, you learn how to represent it in the best way, where you are able to give the information which is required, but at the same time, you are not sharing any confidential information. So that is the journey that you go through when you start working on the confidential data, and you understand many times we don't have access to the data, and we work on the encrypted data where we try to analyze the trends. This is how the encryption is looking like. This is what bracket this will fall into. So yeah, there are challenges, but definitely working in data industry is really exciting. I work for, so our team is the one-stop shop for data, and everybody makes us feel so important. We are always being chased. We need this data, we need that data. Where are the numbers? And it's interesting. Every time we work on a new data set, a new project, new challenges, and yeah, so it's a new day every day, and challenging and interesting.
Can you share how many people work in this one-stop shop
So,
for data
yeah.
at a bank like that?
Yeah, so my team is big, but for the impact assessment, we are only 5. And my manager always says, we do job of 10 people. You have to wait. So that's the reply. Yeah, because finding the right people is also difficult, who can, do the data analysis to the core. Because if we talk about analytics, trends, everything, that starts once you have the right data set. And working and getting the right data set is a very challenging job. So where you understand the domain, you start extracting the right data from the right systems, and then preparing it for the insights and analytics. So, yeah.
So yeah, as you rightly mentioned, we are working in the regulated industry, and we have lots of regulation around how we can use the data, which data we should use, which data we shouldn't use. One thing I think both of them mentioned, Sunita and Nidhi, around the data quality. So I'll not touch upon that, but this is one of the biggest challenge we have. Another two things I really wanted to mention, lots of having the buzzword of AI, robotics and everything. So people will start with robotics and AI. They forget about their business problem is. So they come, we have to do something AI. We have to do something, we have to build something, some models. We have to do something predictive. Then the question is, but what you wanted to achieve out of that? Because it's not, you're getting apples from the market. It's just, you have to solve something. So that is another challenges I find across most of the industry. Even if I talk to other friends, they are having the similar problem. Everyone comes with, I don't want it to be left behind. I have to start something about AI. But what you want to achieve it? Are your team is ready to accept those AI products? Those questions comes much like a change mindset. Do you have that kind of capability to change mindset? And third, another point I always mention, lots of time I have seen the data, we have the enough data to predict or build the model, but data are in siloed. If this team has this kind of data, another team has another type of data, but if you just merge all together, we may get the full picture. But getting data from different teams is another big hurdles. Lots of time we feel like that's a big hurdles we need to cover.
You touched here, I would say, two interesting areas. One is data availability. Everyone is talking about data-driven cultures. And then at the end, lots of organizations which I've seen or talked to, then they have a few data analysts, data scientists, and they take care of the data. How is it with distributing the data availability to make it available for business people, and in what form? How does that work in your industries? Does it? And does it?
So for us, I've been in MSD for more than 5 years now. So I have seen lots of improvement regarding the data sharing, lots of focus on how to share the data, how to access the data. with the right policy. It's not, I'm not saying it's freely available, but with right policy. So I have seen there's improvement of getting the data from different sources. Lots of investment is the companies investing on the improving the quality of data, as well as make sure data is available at not at the very granular level, but at the consumption level, because granular level can be your transaction level data, like very granular level. You may not need at a granular level, you may need slightly higher level at, for example, customer level. So I have seen, like, in our industry, companies are investing on putting data together so that it can be ready for consumption.
So what are the usual steps to make the data available? Is it that they hire those kind of, you mentioned that you are such a bridge between the technology, the data, and the business. Do they hire more people like you to kind of spread the data around?
So our work mainly resolves around data analysis, but in terms of data sharing, yeah, so we are the ones who give inputs for the reports that are required to be published, and then to define the granularity to which the report should go for which person. I can give one of the examples. We were working for a project in a bank which was to track human behavior in terms of, okay, how many people joined the bank in last 6 months and left? Or think about how many people raised a grievance in the last 6 months and they left the bank after leaving the grievance. Or how many managers have got, a low rating, consecutive, low ratings, where we have to be very considerate that in my report, the manager name should not come, or the head name should not come. There were scenarios where the country presence is very small. There is only one head, and they know. So how to present it in a best way? So numbers were not working. Percent was not working because we know that, okay, this is the only person. So we started playing with the color codes, red, amber, green, to show them, okay, it's not red, but it is amber. So not giving the granular information, but still giving out the message. So this is how we start designing the systems on how we can give the information in a more, in keeping the regulations in mind that, this kind of information should not be shared, but it needs to be highlighted. So this is how we work on, depending on different reports, they have different kind of data and their granularity. Sometimes we encrypt. Okay, a possibility comes where senior managers wants to see the data. So we will show them, but we will not show the employee ID, we will not show the employee name. So those kind of information, yeah.
Sunita, what do you advise your clients in terms of making data available?
Sorry, feedback. Basically, I think the points here are very valid. One of the biggest things that we have to make sure in the data strategy that we develop for the clients is data governance. It's a huge thing, and for valid reasons. What I would like to emphasize is that one of the things that organizations need to understand is, if you have an intent, going back to my previous point, on developing a particular strategy and actually getting and reaching those goals, you need to have the relevant buy-in from the relevant teams. This is your organizational's data. It's not some other organization's data. So it's all contained in your organization. Now it comes down, obviously, to the point that each team has to protect its own data or its master data, and that's fine. With the governance in place, how can that data be shared with the relevant buy-in and the support from the leadership? It needs to be a top-down approach, because I can't go to someone in a team and say, guys, you need to share your data with team B, and they're just going to go, no, my boss won't allow it. So that's where people usually get stuck. Now, if you get the leadership support, it's a bit more feasible.
Can you, some of you, share the biggest kind of data project wins that you experienced in your career? Anyone?
Sure. So there have been so many. How can I say?
Oh, really?
Okay, well, there is obviously a lot in the public sector right now, right? And there is the government is making huge progress in this space. Set aside budgets as well for making this region, this country especially, sorry, a lot more AI governed. For that reason, there has been a lot of traction recently from the various government sources. Hello? Yeah. To come and ask us how we can help them with AI. Now, that just, again, goes back to the whole point of data. What is the data that you have? And it's not an easy thing. I mean, getting them along that journey and everything. I can't obviously name clients, but I can say that there have been everything from, for example, organizations which are basically acting like a recruiting company, who are looking at job seekers, and they're saying, we have all this unstructured data. Here you go. What can you do with it? And we're just like, okay, come back a few steps. What do you currently have? Oh, we just take down free text. I'm like, okay. So the first step could be, perform a sentiment analysis on your data to understand what it means for job seekers coming in. Next step could be cleansing the data. And so all of these are definitely well along the journey. There's been a lot of, obviously, work that's being done in the financial services. So we've been working with them as well. Obviously, even though companies like OCBC, UOB, DBS, I can name all of them, are going down the digital transformation journey, have their own data arm and everything. There's the open vault right here. But it's about how we can support them, because they're looking from an inside-out perspective. We're looking from an outside-in perspective. So we bring that to the table. I know I didn't answer the question, but hopefully that gave some response as to which industries are thriving in this space.
I want to ask you one thing about, like, we sit here and we are all women in data. And we have like 90% of the audience of all women. And I want to ask you, how is it with diversity in your teams and your organizations when it comes to data positions and women in leadership positions? How is it with Allianz? How is it with a traditional insurance company?
I'm in such a bad position. So I was like trying to avoid eye contact. So I have a team of 12, and I'm the only female in the team. And it's very unfortunate. But we are looking at changing our JDs to make it. So something that I felt was that the candidates that come in, there are just not many females applying for data scientists.
Well, we will change that, I think. With all the girls in tech, and she loves data. I'm so passionate about this topic. And Gabriela, she told me, don't talk about it too much, because I can kind of go on that. Because I believe that diversity is so important, especially when it comes to data. Because if we will have a diverse teams, we will have better results.
Absolutely.
So I think it's so important that organizations are putting together not only maybe JDs, but the environment for women that are more inviting. Because like if you have 12 guys and you hire one girl, how is she going to feel there, right? You have to hire at least 5, so to change the dynamics, right? That's what I feel. So what are your organizations doing to change that? This is what are we going to do about that?
Well, I am the only girl in my team.
How do you manage? How is it? How does it feel?
Oh, you are always important if you're the only one. And I think the advantage that I have is I'm a mother of 2. So my patience level is really high. And that is where there are moments when my colleagues give up. They're like, it's not working. This is not the right thing. And those are the times when I really step up. And because I have that patience level, no, it is going to work. We have to wait, and we have to entertain, the clients for whom we are working. We just cannot say, just go away, it's not working. Or, yeah, and recently we are hiring a girl for the team, and I was involved in the interviews. They were, the best part was most of the candidates did very well, but her insights were really interesting. And that's what we loved it. The way she presented the data in terms of analytics, it was really interesting. So I think it's not about the gender diversity. I can say that, yeah, but the talent always, yeah.
I don't mean gender diversity. I think we should not strive for gender kind of equality in this respect. We should kind of look for a diverse team members, whatever diversity means. It doesn't have to mean gender.
Cultural or,
Yeah, because then you put your brains together and you get much better results because like there are different points of views on things, right? So that's important.
Yeah, I think that is the key for data analytics. You have the same data, but everybody's having the different view to it. You know, you give it to 4 people, and 4 people will make 4 different dashboards out of it. They will present the data in a different way.
But if they are all 4 males studying at the same university, they will probably come up with a similar kind of theories. But if we mix it up a little bit with a different background, and so it's going to be better. That's my belief.
I just want to add, so in my background, I didn't mention that my undergraduate was actually from an all-women school in the US. So being from an all-women school and moving into physics, where I was one of the 4 girls among 30 guys, and then moving into data science and analytics, where it's almost the same ratio. It's very disturbing because I look around me and I say, where are all the women after coming from a women's school? The school that I came from, out of complete humility, I want to just add that this is the school that gave birth to Hillary Clinton, Madeleine Albright, and those women are out there making names and everything. And why aren't there enough women around me right now where I work? And that question always arises, especially when I go to clients and the first thing they say is, oh, you're a woman. And I'm like, uh-huh. And the very interesting thing is, after a while of spending time with those clients, they actually come back to me and say, you have a good balance between EQ and IQ. And I'm like, well, thanks.
Serious? They really comment like that? This is incredible.
No, but it makes me feel good because finally I'm able to, I don't want to say negative things about the guys in the audience, but there is a high level of EQ that women bring to the table apart from the IQ. And that is extremely important in this digital transformation journey that clients are taking, because you need a sense of empathy, you need a sense of being able to converse with clients, position yourself in their shoes, and being able to actually penetrate into that, that change that's happening. And for that, I completely miss the female colleagues around me. They need to be there.
So what are the organizations doing? Are they doing something in your industries? Are they changing some processes or procedures or JDs? Are there any, what would you suggest to your organizations to do to hire more women to data?
So first of all, I've just started keeping all my projects as a female name, so that you can just add more projects, all the projects name is Jenny, Jamie, so that I can have more women around me.
You can have Annas and Marias.
Yeah, Annas, yes, so that I can feel like I am surrounded by all women. But the jokes apart, in our company, I don't see that's not a very okay, I don't have the number. I don't represent HR also, but I do see lots of women in my company, in my floor. I do see. I don't feel like we are the majority.
Actually, it's true. When I visited you in your department, there are many women in your kind of innovative hub, right?
Yep. So if I look at our hub, there is lots of women. I don't say 50-50%, but that's a good representation of women in at least in our company, at least for IT hub. But what the company is doing for us is they are having the mentoring programs, which help the women to giving another step for to just accelerate their career. They are having lots of networking session within the company, which is very famous in US, not that much of in Asia, but I'm sure it will also taking up soon. So lots of initiatives like speaker series, so that you can see the female representation. Yep.
So let me ask you one question, because often we hear about how difficult it is to be a woman in data, but I want to twist it and ask you, did you guys have any advantages to be a woman in data? Was there a situation when you were like, yeah, I'm the only woman in the room and this is good? Because, then I would like to know this because.
I think women and men, I'm not talking about, let's think about a diverse group.
Yeah.
Each person brings something different. That's why it's called diverse group. And I find when you have a diverse group, the representation of thought is different, and you can learn so many things, so much things, like their culture, the way. Even think about if I have to do analysis on Vietnam data. Being Indian, I'll not be able to do it. But at a Vietnamese guy, just looking at the data, they can say, "Oh, this is." That's the reason. I don't need to do Google. So everyone brings something different to the table. For women, now coming to the women and men, I'm sure women, most of the time I have seen they are more patient than men. They are more persistent about the project needs to be done. They are much more organized as compared to the male figure. So I think that is my observation. So I feel like that those components brings to the table, it makes them the more special.
Nidhi, is your organization doing something to bring more women to data science? As you said, you're the only one, or data analytics?
Yeah, we are hiring one as well. But to be honest, there are a lot of women which I see in the bank and at very senior positions and very respected for their work. Like always, people talk behind them. Oh God, she's very good, at any analytics or anything that we are doing. For me, the advantage of me being in the team, I think women are very good in multitasking. So many times when the guys in my team are too busy on some serious project and they're like, can you please attend this meeting for me, because they don't want to break, that.
Break the flow. I've heard that so many times.
Yeah, but women are sometimes good at that. They are able to come back to the point where they left the things. So definitely that is the advantage. And I always see whenever I go with my boss to the meetings and people say, so she is the secret gem you were hiding. So,
so that's the advantage.
Yeah. So definitely that's the advantage. But yeah, overall the bank has a lot of women. They are hiring, and there are a lot of definitely women talks and meetups that happen within the bank where people can network. And
this is great.
Yeah.
So how is insurance industry?
So before that, maybe I can share a story about what Goals in Tech did a couple of weeks before. I think it was 2 weeks. So we ran a data hackathon where the participants came in and work in groups to build a text summarizer. So they were given articles and they were asked to summarize it into 3 sentences. So we allowed all kinds of, it was really a big diverse group that came in. So we had 50-50 on gender. There were all nationalities, occupations. We had students, we had people who are working adults, there were all kinds of diversity, and the kind of atmosphere and the environment that it created was amazing. And the results that came out, because I guess one thing that I learned from it, it's really to drive a bigger purpose around data, right? Like data is just something it can be numbers, it's just letters. But if you drive a bigger purpose and everyone is working towards this purpose, and the kind of energy just rubs off each other. So
I definitely agree. Let's have a last few questions, and then we will let you ask questions. Look, this industry is moving, the data is moving so fast. We have a big data everywhere, and what would you advise the audience here to do today to keep the skill set in the data relevant in 5 to 10 years? What would you learn today to make sure you have a data job in the future?
Learn as in take courses, or?
Yeah. What is the skill set? Do you have some kind of, now lots of times we talk about R versus Python. I have, in She Loves Data, we have ladies that have never, done any coding, and they come to us and they ask for Python courses. And I go like, ooh, slow down a little bit. Maybe you should start with SQL, Is there any skill set you would propose? And maybe a pathway for people that want to make sure that they will be, in the future, relevant in terms of data literacy, right? Because data literacy is something that is coming to any jobs. What are maybe the basics to learn to be relevant and have a job in the future?
Yeah, so we follow very closely to Microsoft's team data science process. And it actually summarizes very well like the kind of processes that goes through a data analytics or data science project. And the very first part is always about business understanding and understanding a business, and then it goes into deciding what is really usable by data science and what is not. And I think following this pathway and going through like each step on how you can actually make use of data and help derive value for businesses in data would be really useful to bring your career forward.
And I think to start with, basics will be always basics, and they will never get old. If you want to really start your career in data and you want to see how the data works, I think you can start from home. You can start with your credit card statement. You can look at your statement and you can see what are you spending on. Is it too much spending? Or where is the money actually going? And that you can start with a simple Excel. I still work with senior managers who only like Excel. You give them something and they're like, no, this is very complicated. You just give me, something in Excel. It's easy, and because they know how to play around. They are into business. They don't have time to learn new technologies. So they are still okay with, the basic stuff. So I think to start working on, you can start with your credit card statement, look at it. How is it going, month on month? What are you spending? What can you save on? Okay, last month I did not buy any dress, so this month I have the budget, those kind of things, your mobile bill. There's a lot of study that you can do on your own, starting with. And I think the basics are still there from, I'm in the industry from last 8 years working on data, and we still use SQL, we still use Excel. SQL is really powerful because it works on a lot of data platforms, a lot of database engines. You can use SQL, so that's definitely one language which is really useful. And for that, you can attend our She Loves Data workshop.
Actually, I didn't tell you, but Nidhi, she is an instructor for the Intro to Data course, so she knows very well what she's talking about, where she's teaching women about the basics of data. How do you actually start to learn about data? So she knows very well about that. But let's take it to the next step and next level. So what's after? So what are the relevant kind of skill sets? Who would you hire to your data analytics or data science or artificial intelligence teams?
I think to start with, the three basic things which I would look into a candidate is basic Excel, not basic Excel, little advanced, SQL, and little exposure to one analytics tool. It can be Tableau, it can be Yellowfin, it can be any analytics tool. And these analytics tool study is very easily available. And if you want to start studying about something, don't go and start reading. Go to YouTube. There are a lot of nice videos which are really quick, easy, and interesting. They have very real-life examples to explain scenarios. So I think to start with, a brush up on one analytics tool, brush up on one language, say SQL to start with, and then Excel. Once you have this level cross, then you can go to the other level where you talk about working on very big data sets and data science languages like R and Python and SAS data sets. SAS is very powerful in terms of working with huge data sets when we talk about big data and data warehouse, those kind of things. So this is just a journey. One step, one step, one step. Yeah. Think about simple examples like Netflix. How Netflix is giving you recommendations. The moment you switch on, it starts giving you recommendations. It's all the engine behind which is working and telling this person watches this kind of things. This is the analytics. And by data science, they find out what is the interest of most of the people, what kind of series we should produce, what kind of series we should be putting money in. Similarly for shopping, so all this, everything, it's data behind this. Whatever you see, the ads, the recommendations. So yeah, it's really interesting and it's very real life to start working with. So I think you can start from home and these three skill set will really help. Maybe
any trendy tools?
So I just take a little bit step back. When we are talking about data analytics or AI, there are lots of components to build an AI product. So for an example, it could be your Python coding, and then can be automation, because whenever you do talking about AI product, it needs lots of integration with other systems. So data engineering role, NLP, or maybe some kind of automation tools, and it can be some different ethics, data ethics, understanding of the data. So multiple roles can occur. So it depends on which area you are interested in. Let's assume you are interested in only data science, which is NLP or very core data science skill set. I would say start with Python or R, and whenever I hire someone, I wanted to look for something has a deep knowledge on. So for an example, if you are talking about you have done NLP, I should you should know what you are talking about in NLP. It's not just natural language processing. So just trying to understand how to do the things. Or if it's just talking about image processing, you should know what you are talking about. So from me, it's going to the in deep. Probably will help you to survive in this area. If you really wanted to go for very niche career in like data science.
I think it's never too late to start on something. Just get started on something. And I'll give my own example for that, right? Because as I said, when I came back and I wanted to step into consulting, SAP was the biggest thing back then, and I just stepped into it. Started at the ground level, but there's nothing wrong with that. It's a new field. If I don't try it, how will I know if I like it? Likewise, in all the different consulting firms that I've been in, I know the different aspects of analytics and data that's been happening. Rightfully so, data science is just one aspect. Advisory business analytics is another aspect. I personally have been in data science for a long enough time to know that now I really want to step into business analytics and advisory, because I want to stay within that intersection between the business and data science, and that's where I get the thrill. There's also a whole load of stuff around, obviously, robotics. So I have been a rabid RPA person in my life. So I know what is comprised of RPA and what it means to step into that. And even within the space of robotics, there is, whether you want to be a business analyst, whether you want to be a developer. There is also in the space of big data. Now, for many women I've heard, they find it very dry. As a subject, but it can be quite intriguing actually, because you're going in there, you're working with the likes of things like AWS, data lakes, warehouse, implementing all these things, because that is a foundation. You need to learn about it. You don't need to be in it, but learning about it is good even for a data science aspect. So my advice to anyone is don't focus on which tool, with what. Focus more on what have you already done with data. And every one of you uses data on a daily basis, believe it or not. When I came from physics, I didn't even know I could use what I had learned back then when I stepped into consulting. But when I did, I was like, hell yeah, I know this thing. So you may not know machine learning, but step in as a person who loves data, who wants to work with data, enthusiastic about it. I have a colleague here in the audience who's a Tableau expert, and I sit and learn Tableau from her because I'm interested. And so it's never too late. You learn it from people all around you. You just pick it up, step into a role, and then you find your journey from that.
Right. Questions from the audience. Let's do that. All right.
Hi. I am Atia. I am a researcher from a local think tank, and thank you so much for the discussion. It was very enriching for me. I have a question with regards to how the expectations in data science has evolved over time, and how you have overcome the challenges that come with these expectations.
Yeah. Who wants to jump in?
So I started my career 12 years ago. Then data science, that time data science didn't exist. It was all the analysis. They generally call
differently, right?
All different. So people are working with data, but they are just labeling as, oh, you are a business analyst, or you are doing the regression analysis. That is very, that time is the regression analysis also very, very hot topic. You are doing regression analysis, you are quite superstar kind of thing. As I moved on, then there's a demand increases. Like demand increases, like, for example, lots of people, usually it was coming from, most of the people will coming from either mathematics background or statistics background that time. But what I can see, there's a changes of, like, lots of people are coming from computational background. Like, they have hardcore coding background. So lots of people are coming from that. And that overall the industry has changed. Then industry has defined as in between they have decision science. Now it is called AI. So now name has changed couple of times, but the basic one remains same, like you're playing with data. But the skill set also has changed quite a lot. So like, used to use heavily on SaaS, more proprietary software. Then people move to R, Python is quite free. So there are lots of hurdles. It was not easy to change, but it just to make sure, like, you are in the right path.
I want to add on that we are hiring a data analyst and data engineers quite often. And what is interesting, our CTO, he always says, like, we don't need people with 10 years of experience. Like, these type of job descriptions are not valid anymore. We need someone who is fast to learn, who is flexible, who is actually interested in data. And I think those are, much more important skill set kind of angles than if you are coding in R or Python. I can tell you we have one data analyst who works for us, for me and my team. And she started she was a mathematician. I think you guys know her. You know who I'm talking about. And then she was a financial analyst. And she was doing financial analysis. Then she came to Singapore, was a little bored, so she took on Python. And now she's actually working for us and she's doing testing and in the development. And now she's moving to actually create her own components in Python. And it's fantastic to see this journey, because what is great is that she understands the business part, and she kind of is very creative on the programming and the coding side. And I think this is important. I think these skill sets are going to be very, very important as we go. Because, you cannot have a bunch of people in a room somewhere who are the data scientists. And the organization will say, like, we put it on them all, and they will solve all our problems. It's going to be about people who are the bridges between, the science, the technology, and the business. And I think this is the big shift. So, no matter what your background is, and this is the change, I think, you can go into data from whatever aspect is interesting for you. Does it answer your question? Do we have more questions?
Hi, my name is Shruti, and I have some interest in healthcare. So my question is actually specific to healthcare. We were talking about data sources, and now there's so much health data that is available. So there's everything from clinical research data to prescription data to wearables to sales data and so on. So from your perspective, from your organization, given the external challenges that you have being a regulated industry and the internal challenges that you have being a large organization, what kind of data sources do you work with, and what are some of the examples of decisions that you're able to make with them?
Let's take an example. If you're just talking about internal data, so we have all the sales informations, all the transaction level data, so for the sales level. But if you're just looking at our external data, so we really depends on vendors to provide us the data, because we are not supposed to collect the data, or it's not our job to collect the data. So there are many vendors who does provide us the data in different format, or maybe it's aggregated at a company level or region level. So we do work with the vendors to get the data from external. And as I think Sunita has mentioned, like, if you're just looking at the internal data, you will be living in a bubble. But if you just look at the compare with the external data, that makes much more sense. So this is all about if you're talking about building the dashboard or something. But when you're talking about the AI or maybe building chatbot, in-house chatbot, so we do use like or lots of data from Google, Wikipedia to just train our chatbots. Does it answer your question? Yeah, sure.
You guys can have a drink later. More questions?
Okay, so yeah, it's it's great to see a lot of women here. So so from the discussions, it's found out that there's a challenge in hiring females in the data science field, like for the data science roles. So I can empathize with that because I am also the only data engineer in my team. Yes. So
what industry are you
yes,
working?
I'm working in the engineering industry, in the data analytics. So this is one question that I like to ask, like as a woman, data leader, why do you think that it's challenging to hire more females into data science, and in a position, how would you be able to help improve the situation in diversity?
That. Great question. I think one of the things I'll talk about firstly from a consulting perspective, and then I'll talk about from a data science perspective. From a consulting perspective, there's often that negative news spreading around that we work long hours, which may be true, but also then goes on to say that women are finding it more stressful. Especially in leadership positions. Now, what does that mean when you have a mother of 2 kids, when you have a mother of 1 kid? Are you telling me that women are not able to take on a very stressful job? I mean, that's just a very stereotypical kind of label to put on women. And I feel that that needs to be broken for sure. As the ladies here have demonstrated, women have way more patience, as I'm generalizing in some sense. For that reason, and for everything else, data science in particular then, women at a younger age, at least back then, were frowned upon when they moved into something like pure physics, when they moved into something like computer science. It was a very male-dominated kind of career to choose, education to choose, which is why even from school days, when I was in physics classes, I used to be like, okay, this is a girl, she doesn't know anything. But that needs to be broken. I think one of the things that has worked really well with the women in my teams has been the idea of mentorship. Having a female mentor. And the very sad thing is, in many sense, when you start working, and don't take offense to this, but many women don't help women. That needs to be broken. Please help the women in your team come up in their day-to-day life and in their career, because that is extremely important. Women need to be a mentor to other women when they grow up at their ladder in their organizations, to set an example to the girls who are coming in, to say that you girls can also be at this position at some point in time. Women desperately look for that mentorship. And many a time, when you're at a leadership position, you tend to undermine other women. So let's not carry that torch forward, and let's actually make it a more of a, let's bring up each other in a successful manner kind of a way. Does that answer your question?
I actually add on that, and this is the work of Girls in Tech, and She Loves Data, is actually, we want to build this kind of sisterhood in data and in tech. Because the guys, no offense to the guys here, you are very good guys on building the boys club. Girls, we are not so good at this like a tribal behavior. And as you mentioned, we are more like should take like a very traditional path. If we are not taking the traditional path, we are kind of ending up walking on our own. And it's difficult to find female kind of role models. And what we want to do is we want to put together with the Girls in Tech, She Loves Data, Coding Girls, we want to put together like-minded individuals and kind of to show everyone that we are not the only ones out there. There are many women like us. And I think what is important in me, I've been leading many teams. And the moment I realized that my team is working much better if it's diverse, and now I'm not talking only really again about gender diversity, but when I had a diverse team, the results were much better. So it was, of course, much more easier to push for female leaders and female, role models within this organization. But in a traditional industries, it takes a little bit longer time. In my team today, my data engineers and analysts, we have 50-50 women and men, and it's fantastic. The way they learn from each other, and it's a slightly different environment. What we had to tell the girls in the beginning, because we had, on every Monday, we have this technical stand-up, where we say what we're gonna do on the projects, in a week ahead. And we had the guys talking all the time. So then, what we did, we said, like, girls, everyone has to talk, and you talk first. And step by step, by those very tiny changes of a behavior and processes within the teams, you change the environment where it's then easier to be, the woman in tech and woman in data, because you feel like equal. Everything is happening on the same level. And we need to all try to do that, right?
And on environment and why data science, it feels like a difficult industry to break into, I think sometimes the feedback that I get is a lot of technical jargons being used during discussions, right? So the environment is that they like to use like very big words, yeah. So you just feel like you cannot join into that conversation. So I would really encourage people to really, it doesn't matter. It all means the same thing, right? It's just a big word versus using a layman term. You're not less of a person because you use less technical terms like that. So that's what I try to do to my team as well. When they do all these big flowery terms, I'll be like, what do you really actually mean this? And I'll break it down in like really layman terms for them to.
We are kind of running out of time. I'm looking at Gabi. Do we have a time for one more question?
Yes, I just want to add that GA is also playing little role in bringing more women into data.
Yes.
Hopefully, yes.
Well, we will tell you more about what we plan for December, right?
I hope so.
We have one question here.
Okay.
Just a second.
As a starter, so like in AI machine learning, big data, predictive modeling, so like which field do you suggest we choose to dig deeper first?
I have my special theory on that. I'm saying that without data engineering, data scientists cannot do much. Before you actually do the order in the data, so it's ready for any type of analysis and data science, there is not much more what to do. But the answer is not then do data engineering. I think it's about do whatever appeals to you, because it depends. So there are, I would say, a few roles. You have a data engineering role, then you have a data analyst role, then you have a data scientist role, and then you have a business analyst role, kind of, when I take it like from the data going up to the business. But it just depends, and I think it's important to kind of dig deeper into this whole data world and look at what appeals to you, and then go that direction. And my suggestion would be, check it out, talk to people that have these roles and see what they are doing and see whether it's something you would like to do, because if you would like to do it, you will be good at that, no matter where you start or what you do.
And my another question is how to have a deep understanding about this field. For example, big data or predictive modeling, within 2 days or within 1 week?
Maybe a few years.
Yeah. So a few days and a few weeks for deep understanding is not possible. What I can suggest is, I think relating your first question to the second, once you try it out, as Jana said, go and talking to people is one thing, and just sitting down doing courses is another thing. Get your hands dirty on it. Get in it and actually do it and see if you like it. Because hearing about it, reading about it is great. Attending talks is like great as well. I mean, that's where you learn to meet the people who are in the industry. Get your hands into an R script. Get your hands into a Python script for predictive or machine learning. See if it resonates with you. See if you actually enjoy what it's trying to do. And then over time, once you've built up the data science, then you can step into the business analyst field, because the business analyst for that field, you need a bit of background in data science, because you need to make sense to the business of outcomes that are generated from an analysis. Things like data engineering, data cleansing, data massaging, making sure that this data is in the right place, it's the right quality of data, the right governance around it. That's extremely important. That should be like the backbone for anything that's being done in data. So you need to understand the principles that are around that. What does it mean to have a proper data governance? What does a proper data governance framework look like for your particular organization? What does it mean in terms of data privacy, in terms of sharing of data? How do we bring in outside data? What are the rules that we need to govern to for all of that? Then you do the data science, and then you get into the business analytics field, because by then you know what you're talking about to the business. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much.
Well, I think maybe I do a little promotion for General Assembly, because I'm not from General Assembly, so it's going to be a little better than if you stand up here. We cooperate with General Assembly quite a lot at She Loves Data. And what they do amazing courses. And what we agreed with Gabi here, that on December 8th, right?
Saturday, December 8th.
We will do a one day, which is called Shape Your Future. And it's going to be kind of a sampling, some of their courses, which we picked up for our community. One is data science, the other one is data analytics, digital marketing, right?
Digital marketing, even creativity, even maybe we will add something about personal branding or writing your resume to help you with career.
So we will have such a Saturday where we all meet together, and their very knowledgeable instructors will give you like overview of what those courses are about, and they will talk about how it can help to kind of fit into your skill set, right? And you will be able to see like, okay, is this relevant for me or not? Or should I go this direction? Because they will talk about the content of those courses. And those are short courses, but as well they have a 10 weeks courses. And we recently did work with one of the groups from the UX design guys, and they did amazing projects. So they actually work on a real life projects, out there, working with the companies that are looking at the, real kind of digital marketing project, data science project, and analytics project. So come, it's going to be at General Assembly.
Yes, it's Claymore Hill 8, level 3 General Assembly.
Come and join us. It's going to be fun, right?
Whole day full of workshops.
Women only. We are a little bit not
sorry, guys.
inclusive here. Sorry, guys. But what we want to create is like a judgment-free zone. And you can, guys, ladies, you can ask all the questions and, kind of meet, again, do some networking and meet some like-minded individuals to tell you that you are not alone out there. All right?
Yes, we will share the page on Facebook later, so just check our Facebook page and you will see it.
So I want to thank you, ladies. It was great actually having you here. And I hope that we will have those kind of panels a little bit more often. Let us know what kind of topics you guys are interested in, because we want to discuss relevant topics. And thank you for coming tonight.